Hello everyone, welcome to the Stalwart Initiative. We're back for another Tasha's Cauldron of Everything review. We're chugging along these subclasses, this is our second review, and we're going to be taking a look at the Warlock content today. So let's begin. First up we have the optional class features that every class gets in Tasha's Cauldron. And again, much like the Wizard, the Warlock gives a bunch of spells that can be added to your Warlock spell list. Nice array here. I did mention in the other video we are going to be going over all the spells, the new spells and reprints in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything when we get to that section, when we get to the spell section. So yeah, you at level 1 you get you start getting access to these new spells, and at 3rd level you get Pact Boon option feature. When you choose your Pact Boon feature, the following option is available to you: Pact of the Talisman. A new pact, which is nice to see a new pact. This is the first one since 5e started, the first additional pact. Your patron gives you an amulet, a talisman that can aid the wearer when the need is great. When the wearer fails an ability check, they can add a d4 to the roll, potentially turning the roll into a success. This benefit can be used a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and all expended uses are restored when you finish a long rest. If you lose the talisman, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous amulet. The talisman turns into ash when you die. This is, at least when you get this option, at least when you get your pact, this is a pretty weak pact in my opinion, because it only works on ability checks, and what really bugs me is that it's only when you fail them. Right? It's not like you're able to use it to boost something. It's only when you fail. And sometimes as a DM, ability checks are used to gauge the success level. There might not be an exact failure number. So that's kind of I don't like the way that's worded. Plus, that also excludes you being able to use this on things like initiative rolls. Because initiative rolls are ability checks, but there is no failing the initiative roll, so you can't use this Pact of the Talisman on that, which kind of sucks. I would have liked to have seen that worded better, but that's okay. It does get a little more love with the invocations and stuff, so we'll keep chugging along. Also at 4th level, which is strange to see a 4th level feature here, because that's usually when you get your ability score improvement. So let's see what they have to offer. When you reach a level in this class that grants an ability score improvement feature, you can do one of the following, representing a change of focus in your occult studies. You can replace one cantrip you learned from this class's Pact magic feature with another cantrip from the Warlock spell list. You can replace the option you chose for the Pact Boon feature with one of the feature's other options. Blech, there we go. So yeah, this gives you the ability, if you're already mid-swing in character, you can change from either Pact of the Blade, Pact of the Chain, Pact of the Tome. You can actually change that to the new talisman, or change it, to any other of the already existing boons. If this change, I'm skipping ahead. You can also replace, if you're 12th level or higher, you can replace one spell from your Mystic Arcanum feature with another Warlock spell of the same level. 11th level, you get the Mystic Arcanum feature, which gives you additional spells that you can use without taking away from your very few spell slots, and this lets you switch one of them out. So switching an Arcanum spell and also switching cantrips, which normally can't do, those are nice. These are nice features. I would allow this for my Warlock players, because why not? You're not giving them anything. You're just allowing them to switch options, and this is only every 4 levels. Well, in most cases, unless they have a lot of levels in Fighter. You might have had more ABIs or more 4th level things beforehand, because fighters get more. Very cool, very cool. If this change makes you ineligible, sorry, still a little under the weather, for any of your Eldritch Invocations, you must also replace them now, choosing invocations for which you qualify. So again, any Eldritch Invocations that are tied to like your Pact boons and stuff, then you have to go back and change those because you no longer have them if you switched it out. So we also get new Eldritch Invocation options, and Eldritch Invocations, in my opinion, are one of the best parts of a Warlock. They add a lot of flair and give you certain abilities and features that other classes just don't have access to. So let's see what we have. First up, we have Bond of the Talisman. So we get a one that helps boost up the Talisman, which I said, in my opinion, is a little weak, but let's take a look. While someone, you have to be 12th level, and you have to have Pact of the Talisman. Those are the prerequisites here. While someone else is wearing your talisman, you can use your action to teleport to the unoccupied space closest to them, provided the two of you are on the same plane of existence. The wearer of your talisman can do the same thing, using their action to teleport to you. The teleportation can be used a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and all expended uses are restored when you finish a long rest. I really like this. This is a very useful invocation. You can use it multiple times. When you get this at 12th level, you're still proficiency bonus of 4. So you can use this. You and whoever's wearing your talisman can use the teleportation 4 times in a day, in a single day. So very useful, very cool thematically, just all around good. This is a wonderful invocation and help boosting the talisman up to making it a useful boon. Very cool. Next up, we have Eldritch Mind. You have advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain your concentration on a spell. This is good. Don't get me wrong, this is really good. Especially if you're using a lot of concentration spells. You know, the issue is that with Warlock, you're not casting as many spells, so you would get not as much use out of this typically. If you get a lot of short rests, then I stand corrected, but you don't get a ton of concentration spells usage unless you're allowed to have many long rests in a particular session. So yes, it's very useful. It's not very flashy, but it's very useful. So yeah, solid choice. Next up, we have Farscribe. Prerequisites are you have to be 5th level Warlock and Pact of the Tome. So we'll see a little love for Pact of Tome here. A new page appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number of names equal to your proficiency bonus. You can cast the Sending spell, targeting a creature whose name is on the page, without using a spell slot and without using material components. To do so, you must write the message on the page. The target hears the message in their mind, and if the target replies, their message appears on the page, rather than in your mind. The writing disappears after 1 minute. As an action, you can magically erase a name on the page by touching it. This is really cool. This is, and it doesn't have the limitations. There's limitations on the number of names, but there's not limitations on the number of times you can do sending with each other. That is very, very useful, very powerful. That's free sending spells. Granted, it's not in the discrete context that you might be used to with sending, but I do like it. It's flavorful, it's useful, very cool. Farscribe is very cool. Next up, we have Gift of the Protectors, and this one is very fantastic, and I'll tell you why soon. So, 9th level Warlock prerequisite and Pact of the Tome feature. So we have another Pact of the Tome feature. These are going to both be very useful. A new page appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that page, same as before, which can contain a number of names equal to your proficiency bonus. When a creature whose name is on the page is reduced to 0 hit points, but not killed outright, the creature magically drops to 1 hit point instead. Once this magic is triggered, no creature can benefit from it until you finish a long rest. As an action, you can magically erase a name on the page by touching it. This is really good. This essentially gives your entire party a death ward. It's very good. Now, granted, it's only once a day, so once it's triggered, you don't get another death ward until you finish a long rest. But and this can be used on you because it doesn't say just ally. It's when any creature whose name is on the page. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, and it's super useful. Unless, and we just found this out yesterday, right? So One of my players, we just went up. They just went up to 9th level, and they switched, or they added the Gift of the Protectors. And when they posed it to the rest of the party, there was nobody really wanted to sign the book because the character is lawful evil, and there was a statement. I think it was, "I'm not writing my name in your creepy ass Necronomicon. No, thank you." I think was the first mention after being offered, even after being told what it does. So keep that in mind if you're playing a evil or a creepy character and you want people to put their name in your Book of Shadows in character. That might not come off that easy. So both the player and I never considered that. That was much fun. I'm sure we'll get through that. But yeah, just something to think about when you're having people write into your Book of Shadows their names. So very cool, very cool. It was in character too, so it was beautiful. Next up, we have Investment of the Chainmaster, and you just have to have Pact of the Chain as your boon for this. When you cast Find Familiar, you infuse the summoned familiar with a measure of your eldritch power, granting the creature the following benefits. The familiar gains either a flying speed or swimming speed, your choice, of 40 feet. Nice. As a bonus action, you can command the familiar to take the attack action. And this is super welcome because normally you would have to have your Find Familiar from Pact of the Chain. You'd have to use one of your attacks, which if you're going full Warlock is 1, unless unless you're the sword one. But you have to use one of your attacks to allow your familiar to attack, which is usually pretty lackluster. But this allows you to use your bonus action instead of your action to do so. The familiar's weapon attacks are considered magical for the purpose of overcoming immunity and resistance to non-magical attacks. Very useful, very nice. If the familiar forces a creature to make a saving throw, it uses your spell save DC. That's good because it's typically going to scale better than a familiar's. I would hope so. When the familiar takes damage, you can use your reaction to grant it resistance against the damage. That's very helpful. Keeping the familiars with low hit points alive, that's very helpful. That's very cool. This is a useful, very useful addition to Pact of the Chain, especially if you find yourself using your familiar from the boon a lot and trying to use it, getting it useful in combat. This will help. This is a great addition for those Pact of the Chain users. Next up, we have Protection of the Talisman, another talisman feature. This one requires you to be a 7th level Warlock and have Pact of the Talisman. When the wearer of your talisman fails a saving throw, they can add a d4 to the roll, potentially turning the save into a success. This benefit can be used a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and all expended uses are restored when you finish the long rest. Man, they're really hammering home this proficiency bonus thing. I like it that they're adding these other forms of currency, as I call them, ways to measure how many times you can use it, how often you can use an ability, but it seems like they're going to nothing but proficiency bonus. Which, whatever, that's fine. Which means it scales well into the late game, into the later levels, but it's not, man, 2 times per, well, it would be 3 times at this point when you get this feature per long rest, and it's only a d4. Now this one's a little easier to get behind because it's saving throws, and saving throws are usually pretty cut and dry on a pass or fail number. So adding this to a failure, that makes more sense. There's a little, to me, there's less wiggle room than an ability check. So yeah, it's useful, but man, to give up some of these other possible invocations for this, if you're really leaning into the talisman, because remember, you can share the talisman with allies, so that is something to consider. Yeah, I mean, it can be useful, definitely. If it's saving them, definitely. Next up, we have Rebuke of the Talisman. And all you have to do is have the Pact of the Talisman for this, no level requirement. When the wearer of your talisman is hit by an attacker you can see within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to deal psychic damage, not physical, psychic damage to the attacker equal to your proficiency bonus, and push it up to 10 feet away from the talisman's wearer. again with the proficiency bonus. So when you could have this at early in game and only have a psychic damage of 2, and that will scale up to 6 depending on your proficiency bonus. So the damage is very lackluster, but there's some things to keep in mind. It uses your reaction, which is fine. But there's no other currency, so that you can do this as often as needed, and you're not limited to 2 or 3 or 4 times per long rest. So you can get your mileage out of this invocation, and the damage is, that's a side, right? That's 2 damage scaling, 6 damage in the late game. That's not that impressive. But what is impressive is that you push them 10 feet away from the talisman's wearer. So if an ally, or even yourself, you're doing this for them, that can get them away from being subject to opportunity attacks. Or it can even just help you move enemies around the battlefield. And it can look cool too, because you can kind of make it like, meh, you're mentally pushing them away, however you want to flavor that. I don't know. But yeah, I think you can get quite a bit of use out of this. The damage is mediocre, but the moving the attacker away, that's where it is, that's where it finds its usefulness. So, okay, cool. Good for Talisman. Last up, we have Undying Servitude. Prerequisites, 5th level Warlock. And you can cast Animate Dead without using a spell slot. Once you do so, you can't cast it again. Cast it in this way again until you finish a long rest. A free Animate Dead per long rest. What I question about this is, since it does not make it a Warlock spell for you, you do not use a Warlock spell slot. That to me signals that you cast Animate Dead at its base level. At its base level, a free Animate Dead every long rest is cool, right? You have a zombie or whatever you're doing, skeleton. That is cool, but you would have to use the Animate Dead the next day to keep that one up. So you can never have more than one when you're casting this at base level, and you can only do it once, at least with this particular invocation. But yeah, man, I wish I really knew for sure. I don't think that you can upcast it with your Warlock spell level, because it's not a Warlock spell for you, and you're not using a Warlock spell slot. So, yeah, I think you're just one zombie. You're one zombie kind of person, and that's okay, right? It's useful if you really want the Animate Dead. Then this is your thing. Okay, so that is all the invocations now and the optional features. Now let's take a look at the 2 new subclasses. First up, the Fathomless. You've plunged into a pact with the deeps, an entity of the ocean. The elemental plane of water or another otherworldly sea now allows you to draw on its thalassic power. Is it merely using you to learn about terrestrial realms, or does it want you to open cosmic floodgates and drown the world? Perhaps you were born into a generational cult that venerates the Fathomless and its spawn. Or you might have been shipwrecked and on the brink of drowning when your patron's grasp offered you a chance at life. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Whatever the reason for your pact, the sea and its unknown depths call to you. Entities of the deep that might empower a warlock include krakens, ancient water elementals, godlike hallucinations dreamed into being by Kuatoa, and merfolk demigods and sea hag covens. So very cool, very cool. They give you an expanded spell list, and let's see here. Yep, decent spells here. Lightning bolt, nice. Okay, yep. And Big B's hand, also changing it to a tentacle. I thought that was a nice touch for your 5th level, and very cool. Decent spells. First up, your first feature at level 1, besides your expanded spell list, is Tentacle of the Deeps. You can magically summon a spectral tentacle that strikes at your foes. As a bonus action, you create a 10-foot long tentacle at a point you can see within 60 feet of you. The tentacle lasts 1 minute, or until you use this feature to create another tentacle. When you create the tentacle, you can make a melee spell attack against one creature within 10 feet of it. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 cold damage, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. When you reach 10th level in this class, the damage increases to 2d8. As a bonus action on your turn, you can move the tentacle up to 30 feet and repeat the attack. You can summon the tentacle a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So when you get this, you're rocking twice per long rest for a while. It's okay, right? You get it at first level, so they can't give you anything very powerful. It doesn't scale great in the damage department, that's for sure. 2d8 at 10th level, the whole way, the rest of the way to 20. Now you do get features later on here, so that will help counterbalance that. Early on, it's good. It's a bonus action. It only lasts a minute. I really wish they would 10 minutes. That would have been cool. Especially since you get such limited use early on. But lasts a minute and 1d8 cold damage. It's only bonus actions, so that's good. You can still Eldritch Blast and do this on top of it. The important part is, if it was just the damage, that wouldn't be as useful, but the fact that it reduces their movement speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn, that is very useful. Very, very useful. So, cool. Good so far. Next up, at first level, you get Gift of the Sea. You gain a swimming speed of 40 feet, and you can breathe underwater. Makes perfect sense. This is your thing. Water's your thing. Thank you for giving us that. That is very useful. And at 6th level, you get Oceanic Soul. You are now even more at home in the depths. You gain resistance to cold damage. In addition, when you are fully submerged, any creature that is also fully submerged can understand your speech, and you can understand theirs. This is really useful in a water campaign, like a sea adventuring campaign or anything of the sorts. This is very, very useful. This will help solve a lot of problems, as I've found out in those types of campaigns. So, very cool. Next up, Guardian Coil, also at 6th level. Your Tentacle of the Deeps can defend you and others, interposing itself between them and harm. When you or a creature you can see takes damage while within 10 feet of the tentacle, you can use a reaction to choose one of those creatures and reduce the damage to that creature by 1d8. When you reach 10th level in this class, the damage reduced by the tentacle increases to 2d8. This is useful. So you can use a reaction. That's the only cost of this. I do like that. So even though you're limited on the use of times, or the amount of times that you can summon your tentacle and use it, and the length of time that it lasts, at least they're not hampering you with limited amount within that, because it only lasts a minute anyway. So using your reaction to do this, reducing damage, yeah, very nice. That's a nice touch, and it doesn't destroy the tentacle. I thought when I first saw this before, I thought it was going to destroy the tentacle whenever the tentacle takes damage. That's very cool that it doesn't. Very cool. At 10th level, you get Grasping Tentacles, and this is so good. This is so good. This is my favorite part of this subclass. So at 10th level, you learn the spell Everd's Black Tentacles. It counts as a Warlock spell for you, but it doesn't count against the number of spells you know. You can also cast it once without a spell slot, and you regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. Whenever you cast this spell, your patron's magic bolsters you, granting you a number of temporary hit points equal to your Warlock level. Moreover, damage can't break your concentration on the spell. This is great. This is great. The fact that you get this spell added to your list, fantastic. It's useful. You gain temporary hit points every time you use it. Your concentration can't be broken, and you get one free use, right? You can cast it once without, one free use per long rest. This is great, and that means you get at a minimum 10 temp hit points for free every long rest because of this spell. Fantastic. This is a great feature. Best part of this subclass, in my opinion. Love it. And yeah, and after an 11th level, you're getting ready to get up your Arcanum stuff. And since this is considered a Warlock spell for you after this, you can add that to your Arcanum. Things to think of. Actually, that might not meet the level requirements there. I'd have to double check on that. So next up, we have your capstone is Fathomless Plunge. You can magically open temporary conduits to watery destinations. As an action, you can teleport yourself and up to 5 other willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you. Amid a whirl of tentacles, you all vanish and then reappear up to 1 mile away in a body of water you've seen, pond size or larger, or within 30 feet of it. Each of you appearing in an unoccupied space within 30 feet of the others. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Very useful teleportation up to 1 mile. It's very useful. Again, I'll just say in closing on this subclass as a whole, especially this ability, unless you're doing an adventure that has water available all around you, you're not going to find, if you're doing a desert adventure and you're looking for a pond 1 mile away from you, you might be out of luck. But in a pirate campaign or something like of the sorts, where you're constantly by the sea or tropical environments, yeah, very useful. Very useful. Otherwise, meh. So, what do you think about the subclass? I think it's okay. It's very specific. I would use it in a very specific type of campaign. Though, for real, I don't play Warlock too often, and I don't think I would ever go too many levels into this. But I think it is a decent subclass. Okay, next up we have the Genie. Woo! Been waiting for this for a while. The Genie Warlock. You've made a pact with one of the rarest kinds of genie, a noble genie. Such entities rule vast fiefs on the elemental planes and have great influence over lesser genies and the elemental creatures. Noble genies are varied in their motivations, but most are arrogant and wield power that rivals that of lesser deities. They delight in turning the table on mortals, who often bind genies into servitude and readily enter into pacts that expand their reach. You choose your patron's kind or determine it randomly using the Genie kind table. So there are 4 types of genies here, and the Tao, the Jinn, the Afridi, and the Merid, and earth, air, fire, water. You get to pick what kind, or randomly, as they said, and then you get your expanded spell list, which is, as you can see, pretty extensive here. Now, granted, everybody gets the Genie spells on this expanded spell list. Oh, it won't let me highlight that category. So all the ones in this column right here, the Genie spells, everyone gets those spells on their spell list. And then depending on what Genie subtype you want to put that, what type of Genie you choose as your patron, then you get their list on top of that. So as you can see, Afridi is very offensive, very fire-based offensive, and each one suits their type. So very cool, very cool. Also at first level, you get Genie's Vessel. Your patron gifts you a magical vessel that grants you a measure of the Genie's power. The vessel is a tiny object, and you can use it as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells. You decide what the object is, or you can determine what it is randomly by rolling on the Genie's Vessel table. And they give you a nice little table here: oil lamp, urn, ring with a compartment, stoppered bottle, hollow statue, or ornate lantern. Very good examples. While you're touching the vessel, you can use it in the following ways. Bottled Respite. As an action, you can magically vanish and enter your vessel, which remains in the space you left. The interior of the vessel is an extra-dimensional space in the shape of a 20-foot radius cylinder, 20 feet high, and resembles your vessel. The interior is appointed with cushions and low tables and is a comfortable temperature. While inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in its space. You can remain inside the vessel up to a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus, which is a pretty good amount and scales well. You exit the vessel early if you use a bonus action to leave, if you die, or if the vessel is destroyed. When you exit the vessel, you appear in the unoccupied space closest to it. Any objects left in the vessel remain there until carried out, and if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in the unoccupied spaces closest to the vessel's former space. Once you enter the vessel, you can't enter again until you finish a long rest. It does suck that you only have access once per long rest, but the duration is long. 4 hours at the very start. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, that's, a sixth of your day anyway. So it's pretty good. Next up, you have Genie's Wrath. You also get Genie's Wrath. Once during each of your turns, when you hit with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. The type of this damage is determined by your patron: bludgeoning for Dao, thunder for Jin, fire for Afridi, and cold for Merit. This is not a lot at first, but remember, there's no limit on this. Just so it's on your turn, once on every turn of yours for the entire campaign. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That adds up. It'll add up over time. The vessel's AC equals your spell save DC. Its hit points equal your Warlock level plus your proficiency bonus, because, why not add proficiency bonus to everything? And it is immune to poison and psychic damage. If the vessel is destroyed or you lose it, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and the previous vessel is destroyed if it still exists. The vessel vanishes in a flare of elemental power when you die. That would be, I would probably make that quite a beautiful sight. Next up, at 6th level, you get Elemental Gift. You begin to take on characteristics of your patron's kind. You now have resistance to a damage type determined by your patron's kind. Bludgeoning for Dao, which, wow, that's a lot of things to do bludgeoning. Thunder for Jin, fire for Afridi, that's also very useful. Things deal fire, or cold for Merit. In addition, as a bonus action, you can give yourself a flying speed of 30 feet that lasts for 10 minutes, during which you can hover. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That's good. That's good. So when you get this at 6th level, your proficiency bonus is 3. Yeah, just went up to 3. Yep. That is 30 minutes a day. That's pretty good. 3, it's pretty good. Pretty good. 3 iterations, fly speed, resistance, and depending on what kind you have, very useful. Solid 6th level ability. Digging it so far. At 10th level, you get Sanctuary Vessel. Oh, here's where it gets so good. When you enter your Genie's Vessel via the Bottle Respite feature, you can choose up to 5 willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you, and the chosen creatures are drawn into the vessel with you. As a bonus action, you can eject any number of creatures from the vessel, and everyone is ejected if you leave or die, or if the vessel is destroyed. In addition, anyone, including you, who remain in the vessel for at least 10 minutes gains the benefit of finishing a short rest, and anyone can add your proficiency bonus to the number of hit points they regain if they spend any hit dice as part of the short rest there. Wow, okay, so not only can you bring your party in with you, although, man, it sucks if there's more than 6 of you. You can not only bring your party in with you, but they get a short rest in 10 minutes, and they get extra healing if they use hit dice. Very useful, super useful, and thematically great. What better way to sneak yourself into somewhere than, plop your party in a small object and make sure that object is on something that's going somewhere, or have somebody throw it over a wall or whatever, get the whole party in somewhere. Very cool. Love it. Love it. Speaking of very cool, let's just finish up with something very cool as well. Limited Wish, 14th level. You entreat your patron to grant you a small wish. As an action, you can speak your desire to your Genie's Vessel, requesting the effect of one spell that is 6th level or lower and has a casting time of 1 action. The spell can be from any class's spell list, and you don't need to meet the requirements in that spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect as part of the action. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish 1d4 long rests. I love it. Any 6th level spell or lower from any spell list, fantastic. The fact that you have to wait 1d4 long rest, I don't even care. Don't even care. This is super useful, very cool, very thematic. You know, if you're role playing it out, you're asking your vessel, and then having that delivered. Very cool, very cool. Genie, you know what? There's very few Warlocks that I played and will play, and I shouldn't say and will because I don't know what all's going to come out. But definitely Genie Warlock is my next full campaign Warlock for sure. Oh yeah, we already went over the wizard. So that's it. That's it for the Warlock features. And let me know what you think. The 2 new subclasses are great. The optional features are great. The Pact of the Talisman has some fantastic potential. I think it just needs the help of the invocations to really help it out there. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. And yeah, we'll be back in a couple days with another video. So subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned. We'll be covering a lot more of Tasha's Cauldron of everything. So remember, unity is strength. Stay safe. Take care of each other, and we'll see everyone again real soon.